Life is unpredictable, but preparing for the unexpected shouldn't be. Take ownership of your life planning with Policy Genius to help your loved ones have a financial safety net in case something happens to you. They offer life insurance policies starting at just $276 a year for $1 million in coverage. Don't wait for life to make other plans. Protect your family today. Head to PolicyGenius.com. That's PolicyGenius.com.
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that I'm a pretty sneaky guy. You're listening this morning, your morning, otherwise calm and quiet, and then all of a sudden, bam! That Farwell guy sneaks in that heavy metal sound of classic Rush rock and roll from the early 1970s. I'm sneaky because we are headed into the long Labor Day weekend. So, as such, our Friday all request your music being played during the show is music from work. Music that reminds you of work. A song title that has work or working in it. You see what I did there? Working Man gets to start the show. And if there's a bit of a song that you would like to hear, we'll play as many as we can between now and 1 this afternoon when we say goodbye for the long weekend. But in honor of Labor Day, your working songs are featured on this All Request Friday on the show. It is the 29th of August, but you would never know it by stepping outside. It's the 29th of October out there. My goodness gracious, I will not tell a lie. Not only the seat heater, but the heat itself on full blast when I came to work this morning. Come on with your coming on. Weather. Oh my goodness, what happened? Thank goodness we're going to start getting a little milder again over the weekend, and it sounds like a warmer September is on the way. But my, oh my, far too early for this sort of thing. Another great meeting while Rosie the pandemic pup and I took our walk last evening. I'm starting to think that maybe we should just do, Rosie Walks stories on the show on a regular basis, which reminds me of last year around this time. And if you'll forgive the tangent, it'll be brief, I promise. But for anybody who is dropping their child off at a post-secondary institution this weekend, I feel you. I feel every bit of you. When we did that last weekend for our daughter, oh my goodness, it was one of the hardest, I went through that. And then those of you who had gone through it before me, we, found misery loves company. We supported one another. And one of you even suggested, hey, you should do updates, do stories about how it's going for you. Well, I'll tell you how it went. Kid fit right in. She's loving it. She didn't even come home this summer. So beware, parents. This might be the last time you see your kid. Oh, my goodness gracious. Anyway, it's a difficult weekend. I know that for certain. I'm feeling it with you because I still remember the feeling from last year. So instead of those updates all year long, because there wasn't much to update as our kid decided she didn't need us anymore, maybe Rosie Walks updates, because it's been a fun week getting out in the evening and encountering those nice young men on their bicycles the other night. And last evening, as Rosie the pandemic pup and I went out for our walk, I realized that we had a royal visit in our neighborhood. I'm just walking down the street, and who do I run into but the one and the only Eric Traplin in my neighborhood, and his lovely wife, Ruth. They could not have been nicer. They let Rosie be Rosie and jump and lick and do Rosie things, and we stopped and chatted for a minute. And I don't know that there is a genuinely nicer human in this community than Eric Traplin. I know Chef D is trying. I know the mayor of Kitchener's a pretty affable guy, but Eric Traplin takes the ding-dang cake. There's no question about it. I'm so glad we got to have that day for him earlier this summer. And I hope did you give him a key to the city? Because that man should have a key to the city. A little royal visit to the Farwell family neighborhood last night.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
All right, let's get to your Farwell Show 5 for this Friday morning. Number 1, federal conservative leader Pierre Poilievre set to hold a press conference in Brampton this morning. His office says he'll be making an announcement on amending the criminal code. No further details yet released. Number 2, spirits maker Diageo says it will cease operations at its bottling facility near Windsor early next year as it shifts some of the bottling volume to the United States. The facility, which bottles Crown Royal products, will close in February. The company, though, says it will maintain a, quote, significant footprint in Canada, including its headquarters and warehouse operations in the Greater Toronto area and bottling and distillation facilities in Manitoba and Quebec. Number 3 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, the Supreme Court of Canada has declined to hear an appeal of a lower court ruling that upheld a First Nations ownership of a stretch of land at the former Sauble Beach. The country's top court dismissed the appeal request from landowners, and the province after a stretch of land along Sauble Beach was returned to Saugeen First Nation back in 2023. Now, this dismissal comes nearly 2 months after members of Saugeen First Nation changed the iconic Welcome to Sauble Beach sign that greeted beach visitors. The Ontario Court of Appeal upheld last December the decision that more than 2 kilometers of the coastline in South Bruce Peninsula were incorrectly surveyed 170 years ago. Number 4, a federal offender wanted on a Canada-wide warrant could be in New Hamburg. OPP searching for 51-year-old Jeffrey Caldwell. He's wanted for breaching day parole while serving a 2-year sentence for various substance and firearms offenses. Police say he's known to visit New Hamburg, Ottawa, and Hamilton. A photo of the man is up at kitchener.citynews.ca. And number 5, on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, tomorrow is going to be a different kind of day at the region of Waterloo International Airport. Mission Aviation Fellowship Canada is hosting its first ever Runway Run tomorrow, a new event where every step helps launch life-saving medevac flights to the world's most remote regions. The runners will take over the runway starting tomorrow morning at 10. For families in the world's most isolated regions, Mission Aviation Fellowship is often the only way to reach emergency care. And that is your Farwell Show 5 for this Friday morning. Something else we do on Friday mornings is have a little bit of fun with something we call the not $1 million question. In other words, you will not be awarded $1 million if you can answer this question correctly. However, we will really admire you. Like, you will be our hero for the day if you can come up with the answer to this one. And in an era where we talk all the time about trust eroding, the erosion of trust, we don't trust anyone anymore, let alone the media. Like, I don't know why you trust me, if indeed you do. Maybe you're just here for the poops and giggles. I don't know. But here's the question for you today. 10% of Canadians say they have complete trust in this. I think I gave away one of the non-answers. It's not the media, but 10% of Canadians say they have complete trust in this. What is it? If you think you know the answer and you want to be our hero for the day, give me a call and answer the not $1 million question. 10% of Canadians say they have complete trust in this. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
I was a rebel from the day I left school.
sit and listen to my records all day, with big ambitions of when I could play. My parents taught me what life was about, so I grew up the type they warned me about. They said my friends were just an unruly mob, and I should get a haircut and get a real job.
We are playing your workin' songs in honor of the Labor Day long weekend ahead on your All Request Friday today. That one from our good buddy Toll Free Jay. He wanted to hear a little George Thorogood and the Destroyers with Get a Haircut and Get a Real Job. Jay, I got the haircut. I still ain't got a real job. Your not $1 million question today. 10% of Canadians say they have complete trust in this. I'm encouraged by this. In an era where we talk about trust eroding, 10% of us have complete trust in this. What do you think it is? 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. We'll go to the phones. Start with Ron. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning, Farwell. Hopefully I get the right answer. Hopefully I do.
All right, well, let's find out.
Social media.
Social media. You know, that is an excellent guess. Not the answer we're looking for, but an excellent guess.
Oh, well, have a good long weekend then.
Thanks, you too. That's the idea. You don't have to get it right. You just take your best stab at it. And if you do get it right, you do not get $1 million. That's why we call it the not $1 million question. But we are going to think you are the smartest person listening to this radio show. And I like where Ron's coming from. Social media. But that's not the answer we're looking for. Preston Paul is with us this morning as well. Morning, Paul.
Good morning, Mike. How you doing?
Great, my friend. How are you?
Good.
Good, man.
I think 10% the sun will come up tomorrow. I haven't a clue.
I hope more than 10% think that, Paul. Holy Hannah. Not the answer we're looking for, but a good guess.
Yeah, well, hopefully the Jays will make the sun come out tomorrow. We got a good lineup this weekend. Looking forward to that.
You and me both. It's going to be a big weekend there at Rogers Center for sure.
Bieber, Gosman, and Scherzer. Looking forward to that pitching duo.
Those are exactly the three men I would put out there if the playoffs started today.
Yep, I agree.
There you go.
Have a good one, Mike.
Thanks, Paul. You too. Great to hear from you today. Not social media, not the sun will come up tomorrow, but 10% of Canadians have complete trust in this. What is it? And just speaking of what Preston Paul brought up and the big series, Blue Jays Brewers this weekend, I got a great meme. I guess you'll call it a meme. I don't know. A picture anyway, sent to me this morning by Mike to 570news.com. And it's got 4 Blue Jays standing over 2 fallen Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers are laying on the ground all tangled up outside Rogers Center. And the 4 Blue Jays are standing over them holding steins of beer. And the photo is captioned, Canadian beer too strong for Milwaukee Brewers. Because, you know, we do have better beer on this side of the border. Go Jays, go. Huge weekend. When's the last time we had an almost September weekend with such a meaningful Blue Jays series? This is a whole heck of a lot of fun, which is what we try to have on Fridays here on the show. So if you want to take a stab at our not $1 million question today, the question is 10% of Canadians say they have complete trust in this. What is it? What do we have complete trust in? Because it sure as heck ain't the mainstream media these days. This is the Mike Farwell Show. It's not the Prime Minister either on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
As soon as you're born, they make you feel small by giving you no time instead of it all, till the pain is so big you feel nothing at all. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be.
John Lennon and the Plastic Ono Band, Working Class Hero, by request from Mark on this All Request Friday. Today, as we head into the long Labor Day weekend, your requests are for working songs. And that one is fantastic. Good job by you, Mark. We're still looking for the answer to our not $1 million question today. 10% of Canadians say they have complete trust in this. What do you think this is? 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. Bill is with us on the phone. Good morning, Bill.
Morning, Mike. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. And you?
Not too bad for a Friday.
Attaboy.
How about the justice system?
There's another great guess, and that was one of the first things that came to my mind. So we're on the same wavelength, but we're both wrong. All right, Bill, thanks for
long weekend.
Thanks, you too. Appreciate you playing along today. It is not social media, as guessed earlier. It's not the sun will come up tomorrow, as guessed earlier. It is not the justice system, or as I like to call it, the legal and or court system, as guessed just now. But 10% of Canadians say they have complete trust in this. What is it? I'll give you the answer before 10, but if you want to fire off another guess, either give us a call or drop me an email, mike@570news.com. Speaking of the justice system or the court or legal system, I have renewed faith in that system in the United States of God Bless America. Did you hear what happened there? Reminded me of something that happened here some years ago. In the United States, in Washington, D.C., to be exact, a man was charged with assault for throwing a sandwich at an immigration officer. As you know, President Trump ordering in the National Guard to bring order to the chaos that he thinks exists. And this man was not happy at all with the presence of these troops. He got right up in their face, used some expletives, called them fascists, said, "I don't want you in my city." And then he threw his submarine sandwich at one of the immigration officers, striking him in the chest. But the court did not convict. The charge thrown out. Apparently, you can throw a sandwich at an immigration officer and not have a criminal record because of it. So let us all celebrate the system in the United States. And I couldn't help but think that the sandwich assault in the States, it reminded me of the chocolate milk assault in Waterloo. Do you remember that one from in and around, I don't know, how long ago, 20 years now? Anyway, Stockwell Day was the leader of the Canadian Alliance Party. He came to an event at Wilfrid Laurier University, and someone threw chocolate milk at the leader of a federal political party here in Canada. And the photos of Stockwell Day doused in chocolate milk went viral at a time when things weren't going viral because we didn't have social media yet. Anyway, the man who threw the chocolate milk was also had his charge dismissed. So 20 years later, you can throw a sandwich at an immigration officer in Washington and life just goes on. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio. As we head into the long Labor Day weekend, we are playing your working songs on this All Request Friday here on the show. And Tom wanted to hear Donna Summer, and she works hard for the money. That's how All Request Friday works. You make the request, we play it for you. And let me tell you, who else works hard for their money? I brought this up on the show the other day. The restaurant industry, don't be dismissive of it. That is hard work. Our local restaurateurs work hard for their money. And that would include Sam and Hema Patel, who own the Biryani Barrel on King Street East in Kitchener. And Hema joins us on the show this morning. Hema, good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
How's everybody feeling today? Because you had quite the weekend. What happened at the restaurant on Sunday, Hema?
So, what was supposed to be a regular Sunday morning for us turned into something very unexpected, to be honest. My husband came rushing to me in a panic, saying our patio was on fire. At first, we didn't even know the scale of it, but later we found out that someone had been on our property between 4:30 and 6:30 in the morning. He tried to break in, and when he couldn't, he started burning whatever he could, including the trees right at our entrance. So this is not the first time someone has tried to break in, but it is definitely the first time someone has tried to start a fire, to say. So thankfully, before it turned into a nightmare, a bystander noticed and called it in right away. So police and firefighters came quickly, and because of that, the damages were minimal. We were especially worried about the tenants who live upstairs. It could have been so much worse, but thankfully it's not. As a small business owners, we understand that incidents like this are unfortunately part and parcel of the business, but I won't lie, it does take a toll.
No question that would take a toll. How is the restaurant? Everything, as I understand it, the fire was contained to just a small part of the patio. Have you been able to stay open?
Oh, yeah, we are open, and the support from the community has been so great. We are so grateful. Still, me and my husband always try to look on the brighter side. We move on quickly, and we remind ourselves why we started this restaurant in the first place. So with so much passion, time, energy, and investment, a small fire won't break us. The show must go on.
Why did you start the restaurant, Hema?
So we had restaurant back in India as well. We come from India, and me and my husband, we both are so much passionate about the food. So that's the reason that we are still holding on, and we just want to move on and just move on with the restaurant. The community, KW community, has been so grateful that they are supporting our passion as well.
What was that like for you on Sunday when Sam called you in that panic after hearing that the fire had happened at the restaurant?
So we didn't know that how big is the scale for this fire. We got called from property manager that there's a fire in the patio. So we didn't know. We rushed to the restaurant, and we got to know that a Good Samaritan just reported to the police and firefighter, and he indeed stayed until they came in, and he actually explained what happened and everything. The police actually identified the person right away. They knew what was going on, and they knew also the person that was setting up the fire. So he got arrested, but yeah, it was very devastating. Like my heart just sank when I heard the news that something is happening in our patio, without knowing that how big impact is making. It's hard to not think that it's gonna go in flames or something like that.
Have you yet been able to find this Good Samaritan that made that call to police?
No, we have not been. So if you're listening, please reach out to us. We would love to thank you in person and serve you a meal, indeed.
I hope that we can find that Good Samaritan, because I understand that you would like to have him come to the restaurant and enjoy a meal at the Biryani Barrel.
Yes, for sure.
Hema, I'm glad everything is okay. Keep up the great work, and thank you very much for joining the show this morning.
Thank you so much. Yeah, good one. And everybody, your support has meant the world to us. It's what keeps us going, and we are more determined than ever to keep serving you.
Thank you, Hema. Have a great day.
You as well.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Hema Patel, along with her husband Sam, own the Biryani Barrel on King Street East in the Sports World area. And on Sunday, imagine that call from the property manager. There's a fire on your patio, and you don't know what the extent of it is until you get there. It turns out things are okay. Thank goodness. It was just a small fire contained to a small part of the patio. The person who is alleged to have set the fire has been arrested. But the missing piece in this story is that Good Samaritan who around 6 o'clock on Sunday morning, you early bird you, was out, saw the fire, and made the call to emergency services. We would love to find that person because Sam and Hema would love to have you into the biryani barrel for a meal on them. So if you are that Good Samaritan or you know that Good Samaritan, help us out here on the show today. Help us help the Samaritan, okay? And we'd love to make that connection. But a great story overall. Quickly, before we go to a break, let's talk to Maureen this morning, who I think wants to answer or try to answer our not $1 million question.
Yeah, how about some kind of a salesman?
Some kind of a salesman. What kind of a salesman? Just any kind of a salesman?
I would say, I don't really trust real estate salesmen, but I would say a car salesman.
Not the answer we're looking for, Maureen, but thank you.
Okay.
All right. Have a great day. 10% of Canadians say they have complete trust in this. What is this? Not who is this, but what is this? And let me tell you something about real estate salespeople, okay? The negotiator, David Schooley, a good friend of this program. I guarantee you can trust that guy. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, brace yourself, Rangers Nation. And really, even if you're not a member of Rangers Nation, but I think in this community, we are all Rangers Nation, aren't we? We got a new guy coming on the broadcasts this year here on 570 News Radio. The old guy, emphasis on old. That's right, Fixie. You're not here now. I can make fun of your age. Actually, Fixie and I were chatting last evening, and he joked about being old. I said, you're not much older than me, pal. But Fixie has decided that there's time with his family that he hasn't been able to spend over all these years in hockey, and there's time to spend in other places besides cold weather destinations on a bus traveling to hockey games. So he has stepped aside and moving into a quasi-retirement, making room for this new guy who you will meet next on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Headed into a long Labor Day weekend. So your requests on this All Request Friday are working songs. And Ron wanted to hear my music at work from none other than the Tragically Hip. It's an All Request Friday here on the show. Fridays in just a few weeks. Heck, we could call today a hockey day in Rangers Nation because the preseason kicks off tonight. In fact, the showcase, if you're not working this afternoon, stop in and see a game. The Rangers will take on the Brantford Bulldogs tonight. This afternoon, Oshawa will play Saginaw. But the preseason officially underway. And on September the 19th, Friday night versus the Brantford Bulldogs, we will kick off the regular season. We don't broadcast preseason games, but we do broadcast regular season games. And when we do that, on September the 19th, there's going to be a new guy in the broadcast booth with me. And that new guy sits across from me in studio this morning. You know his name, you know his voice, and Josh Piercy is going to be our new analyst on Rangers hockey. Josh, welcome. Good morning.
Thank you, Mike. It's like promising to bring in lunch at work and you show up with food leather. Like, come on, man.
Funny you should mention that, and I'll get to it in a moment. But true or false, Josh Piercy, one spring-like evening after a Rangers playoff game last season, you met Paul Fixter in the parking lot of the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. You looked him square in the eyes and said, Fixter, get out of the way because I'm coming for your job. True or false that happened?
It is true. It was it was actually a little more heated than that.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I
told him, you need a break, man. It's been long enough. But no. I've actually only met Fixie a couple of times. Obviously, I showed up in Kitchener a little over a year now ago since moving from BC, and only had the pleasure to meet Paul a couple of times, met him at the rink. And funny enough, I met him at Victoria Park one time. I was walking around trying to do interviews for the news side of things, and I asked him a question about a bylaw or something. He was like, I work with you, right? I was like, who are Fixter. That makes sense. And he told me the fix was in, and happy to join on with you, Mike, and obviously big shoes to fill. Paul's a legend in the hockey world, and I know Rangers Nation loves him. So,
a Rogers radio
sad to see him go, but happy
radio.
to.
This update brought to you by
Genevieve, you need to. There we go. Jen, on the other side of the glass, you didn't have headphones on. You didn't hear what just happened in there. Holy Hannah. Yes, Fixie enjoyed telling me that story about the random encounter in Victoria Park. And just to be abundantly clear about this, just in case there was anything that led you to believe otherwise, Paul made this decision on his own. It was a tough one. He and I had lunch out at Westmount Golf Club, where he spends a lot of his time in the summer. And you could just see in his face that he loved doing this, but it's time. He's got family time. He's got the time to spend in warmer places than hockey rinks during the winter, and we are thrilled for him. So you mentioned having come here from BC, but that's not your native province. Why don't you give us a little Josh Piercy background here and what brings you to our fine radio airwaves here in the region?
I'm from Newfoundland originally. Grew up watching hockey, got into the sport because my dad's a big fan. St. John's is a place that's kind of had a hard history with hockey. We had the Leafs farm team for a while, especially when I was a kid. We had them until about the 2000s. Then we had the Montreal farm team for a while, and it's a little bit but and then we had a junior team for a while as well. They've had a hard time keeping a team, but Dad always loved the sport, and I kind of came on with him, and that's where I found my love for it. And then I went to school here, or not here, but in Toronto rather, to the College of Sports Media. Learned about broadcasting from legends like John Shannon, Ivanka Osmak, who's still on TV today, David Amber, who does Hockey Night in Canada. But then when I graduated in 2021, it was Pandemic City. So we were looking around trying to find a sports broadcasting job in the GTA, and it just wasn't happening. So I turned my attention to news. Obviously, since then, I've fallen in love with the news side of things and doing that side of this whole journalism sphere. But took myself to BC, to Revelstoke, which is in the heart of the mountains there. And it's a big ski town, but they got a little hockey team there in this like old barn with 800 seats in the KIJHL, which is the junior. It's actually Junior A now. It was Junior B when I was there. I went and talked to the coach, Ryan Parent, who's also a legend out there in the KI, and he said, we'd love to spruce up the program a little bit, have you on. We won 2 cups there, won the championship in the first year, and then they won the Tech Cup in the second year, which is, I think, the Junior B equivalent of the Memorial Cup. So we had a great time. And then, we had my girlfriend and I, we had a little idea to come back to Ontario, get a little closer to the family. Obviously, only halfway to my family, but the whole way to hers. So took us back here to Kitchener. And then, Mike, as soon as I knew this opportunity was opening up, I just jumped at it.
Fascinating connections here, because I used to work in Salmon Arm, BC, and the Sicamous Eagles were part of the KIJHL, and I used to cover them. And fun fact, did you know, Josh Piercy, that I used to get my makeup done in the chair beside Ivanka Osmak? That was a thing.
I was getting my makeup done in a chair in front of Ivanka Osmak in a makeup class in college.
Amazing. I love it. And she is fantastic. Like, what a great person she is, and a talented broadcaster. Okay, so from those roots, and obviously they run deep, do you have any idea what you are signing on for here?
Well, no, I think is the answer. No. I have a lot of respect for Rangers Nation. I've, having only been here a year, I think I've only really scratched the surface of how sort of deep the roots of this team go in this community. And I've always known about the Rangers, being a fan of hockey, and it's one of the most, storied franchises in the OHL. So having the opportunity to come on and even be 20% of the story that we're telling here for the team is really exciting for me. It's hard. It's big shoes to fill coming in after Fixie, a guy who knows so much about the sport, a guy who's so ingrained in the culture of hockey here and in the culture of hockey in general. But yeah, Newfies, we got the gift of gab. So hopefully, and play-by-play is doing a whole lot of the work anyway. So the color guy, if I can come on and provide that little bit that just makes people listening to the game be that little bit more excited, then I'm happy to do that.
I want you to know, truly, I am really looking forward to this. I think it's those Newfie roots. I'm not sure, but I felt the connection to you since you first walked into these halls. Love having you around here, and we're going to have some fun together. Starting on Sunday, you'll join me at FanFest, and we'll do a broadcast from noon till 1.
We're going to get pucks in deep. We're going to hit the corners.
I love it. I love it. Okay, and before I let you go, just to prove what a good guy you are, you talked about, promising lunch, bringing in shoe leather. So the other day, you did a solid along with some of your coworkers for me because we had a hot sauce feature on the show, and you enjoy some hot sauce. But instead of our guest bringing in some chicken wings or even some chips to dip in the hot sauce, you just basically ate hot sauce off a spoon.
It was surgical.
It was surgical. And I appreciate you helping because I'm such a big wuss when it comes to hot sauce. But what I did was I reached out to my friends at Morty's, best ding-dang wings in town. I said, listen, I kind of owe my coworkers one here because they did one for me. So stick around till at least 10:30 today because wings from Morty's are on the way. And that's not the only reason we're bringing you on with hockey because of what you did on Wednesday. But thanks for doing that and enjoy your wings a little later.
Love Morty's. Tears in my eyes right now.
Josh Piercy, he's our new color analyst on Kitchener Rangers hockey. This is the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. I promise the answer to your not $1 million question is coming before 10:30. We had a little bit, in case you couldn't tell in the last 10 or so minutes, a little bit of a computer hiccup, and it threw us a little behind schedule. So I want to make sure you get that answer, but I couldn't get it to you before 10. Before 10:30, we will get you the answer to your not $1 million question. But right now, I want to get to this next conversation because I just even double-checked with our guest to make sure I had the numbers right. And indeed, I did. Well, thanks to one of our other guests who is going to be on the phone with us in a moment. But a 785-kilometer distance ran over the course of just 8 days. You heard that right. About 800 kilometers in 8 days, or an average of about 100 kilometers a day. That's what Elmira resident Clay Williams did. And Clay joins me in studio, although I have no idea how you're even functioning after having... I don't care what time of your life you did that. It's wild stuff. Thanks for being here. Good morning.
My pleasure. Good morning.
And along with Clay, we have on the phone with us this morning Julianne Weidman, who is the National Project Coordinator with Defeat Depression, Mood Disorder Society of Canada. Julianne, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike. Hey, Clay.
Hey, Julianne. How are you?
Good.
All right, Clay, let's just start. You said you did this back in 2015, that distance, 785 kilometers in 8 days. What on earth? Why?
A little bit of backstory. I lost two brothers to suicide a few years ago, early 80s, and was the first one, the second one in 2007. And in 2014, we started to see a lot of media coverage about PTSD, our first responders, high suicide rates. So I wanted to do something for this generic term, mental health. So I organized this run the following year, 2015, and I wanted to get people's attention, so do something extreme. And I had run a few 100-mile races prior to that, so it wasn't like I was a newbie. The idea was do this extreme thing, get people's attention, and divert that attention over to the message, which was mental health stigma. So... the training was pretty intense, and the run itself, I did a little research on how much or how little sleep a person can get in a week, and what I found out was only tidbits. I mean, it's toilet seat, cell phone research, right? A couple tidbits. REM sleep cycle takes an average of 90 minutes. Okay, so mark that. And I thought I would need at least one REM sleep cycle a day. I thought maybe two. So what I did was run the first 24 hours, no sleep. And then I slept for 2 hours, got up again, continued to run as long as I could, typically about 10 hours. Sleep again for 2 hours, up and run 10, sleep 2. So I ran through the night and the dark and the emotional dark as well, with the intention of trying to set an FKT, which is not a formal record, just fastest known time.
My goodness gracious. I can't even imagine. And I want to come back to that emotional darkness in just a moment. But Julianne, let me bring you into this and the Defeat Depression campaign with Mood Disorders Society of Canada. How does this all connect to what you do?
So I just supported them for this past year for their season for Defeat Depression, so I'm no longer with them. But this is the Mood Disorder Society of Canada is a charity that Clay chose back in 2015. I joined him the second year that he did it in 2016, and that's how I got connected with them. But this is an organization across Canada that seeks to provide resources to those that are struggling with their mental health, specifically mood disorders like anxiety and depression, but really trying to connect a fractured health system that we have right now and get people connected to what's available in their communities because it's so hard to find the resources.
What is your motivation for connecting with Clay and doing this kind of work, Julianne?
So the first year, it was a friend in need. He was on the road and had a volunteer drop out very last minute. So I was between jobs and said, sure, I can hop on the road for 2 weeks. And then it just became a passion project after that. Clay and I have been friends for a number of years. And just seeing the people that we met along the road and the stories that people have to share. People have gone through so much, and they're looking for opportunities to not just have that stuck in their heads. They need to share. We all need to share what we're going through. We all fear those dark times every so often, and we need to work through them. But society says, hide it away. We don't want to see that. We only want to see the happy moments.
Clay, you mentioned that running through the darkness and the emotional darkness as well. And I couldn't help but think, and I realized when you walked in here today, you had said you were going to bring your bike from Elmira. I thought bicycle, but we are fellow motorcycle enthusiasts. And I know, and one of my favorite parts about riding a motorcycle is how it just gives you that time to think and clear your head and all those different things. I can imagine it's the same when you're running, but because of the reason that you were running, that emotional darkness must have been deep. I mean, what was that part of this like for you?
I've done a little introspection in the last little while. In my second 100-mile race, through the middle of the night, I had, I think, something that was the deepest depression I've ever had. It's like an exhaustion-induced depression, the complete loss of motivation and hope, and I wasn't even sure the sun was going to come up the next day. But I knew at that time that it was a trail run through the woods, and no one is going to come and pick me up in the woods. I at least have to go to the next aid station. So I had a short goal to get to the next aid station, and things changed considerably by the time I got to that next aid station. Symbolically, the sun came up. And that was like a new awakening. Through this 7-day thing, I had an injury on the 5th day of 8, sorry, not 7. And it put me behind schedule. And I was very focused on being on Parliament Hill at 4:30 on Saturday afternoon. That was that was always in the front of my mind for every step along the way. And this injury set me back. And I was so, depressed, hopeless that I had done this whole thing, had a bunch of people involved, had a great deal of support, and I had failed. I'm not going to make it in time. So I really had a hard time going on. Maybe I should pull the pin and just quit halfway through. And I had a friend call, and she said, forget about what's going on ahead. Forget about all the plans. You don't have to take care of media. You've got a support crew to do that. You don't have to take care of your food. You've got a support crew. Hand that all off to them. Just think about where you are right now, what you can see in front of you. Look off to the side. What do you see beside you? How do you feel? Just think about this moment. And then in the next moment, think about that moment, and those moments will come together and you'll find yourself at the finish line. And it was magic. It was golden. I handed off all the responsibility, step and breathe, and eat the food that people give me. And got me to the end. And I didn't know at the time that's an exercise in mindfulness. And that's become a really good tool for not just me, but for a lot of people when they're struggling and starting to spiral, right?
What an incredible testament to the human spirit and what we can accomplish. I am tragically up against the clock. Can I impose upon the both of you for a little more time? Can you stay with me during this break?
Sure, absolutely.
Julianne, you're okay too?
Yep, I am.
Thank you very much. In studio with me, Clay Williams and Julianne Weidman, who are part of this effort to raise awareness about the Mood Disorders Society of Canada and the incredible accomplishment of Clay, including we'll get into what just happened this past weekend as well. Stay with us on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Joined in studio this morning by Elmira's own Clay Williams, who's also on the board with the Mood Disorders Society of Canada, and Julianne, who's also done some work with Mood Disorders Society of Canada and part of the support team for the Canal Pursuit. Now, we've talked about Clay's incredible efforts going back to 2015 when he ran about 800 kilometers over an 8-day period to raise awareness and funds for mental health. Julianne, if I could ask you on this one, last weekend was just a, little old 75-kilometer run to Parliament Hill, and I know that the fundraising that Clay was doing then continues to this very moment.
Yes, it does. So after 2016, Clay decided to turn this into a relay. So we continued to do the 8-day run, including more people so that we get a wider reach with the awareness side of the campaign. And then last year, after we finished year 10, we decided 8 days on the road was a lot for both of us. And so we would look at doing a one-day event. And that was what we did this year. So we had it in 8 cities along the original route. And then Clay was running into Ottawa, and we were going to simulcast everything over Zoom so that everybody was ending their events at the same time. So Clay started at midnight on Saturday in Merrickville at the fire station and ran. We were going for 75K. We didn't quite make that. It was a very long night, and running in the dark, as we know, is kind of hard on you as well. But he got well over 50K, so we did an ultra run, which was great, and we ended on Parliament Hill with all of the different sites tuning in. It was really awesome.
That is incredible stuff. And Clay, you and I were chatting during that commercial break, and you've got a rather ambitious goal in mind for next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if the stars align and the water don't rise, I'm planning to run across Canada next summer, starting in Newfoundland on May 5th and heading west. Not the shortest distance. I did a little looking. Running across the U.S., people do that all the time, but it's so much shorter than running across Canada. Anyway, 8,400 kilometers. I plan to do a loop into PEI, come down into Toronto instead of straight across from Ottawa to North Bay, Regina, Saskatoon, Edmonton. And I want to do, and this all depends on budget, I would like to do a run in each of the territories, capitals. You can't run to Iqaluit. There are no roads that go there. So the idea was to fly from Ottawa to Iqaluit, run there a couple of days, and then as I get to Edmonton, fly to Yellowknife, and then Whitehorse, and then back to Edmonton and continue on.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Any idea, Clay, over all of these years and all of this effort, how much you've been able to raise?
I'm a numbers guy. I'm an engineer.
I like this. We're getting a lot, motorcycles and numbers, two of my favorite things too.
Yeah, we're this year. So this year's event, we had a target of 15,000. I think we're pretty close to 14 right now. And grand total for the 11 years so far is around $165,000.
Absolutely incredible. Yeah. Julianne, is there a place that we can go to support this incredible work that you and Clay are doing?
Yep, if you go to defeatdepression.com, it will pull up the Defeat Depression website because this is part of that big campaign. And you'll see the different Canal Pursuit events on there. So for each of the different locations that we hosted at, if you wanted to support Clay or I, you could go under the Ottawa event, and we are both listed under that. Or you could just pick the overall campaign.
Defeatdepression.com. I'll send folks...
.ca.
.ca. Pardon me, Julianne. Yep. That's my bad. Thank you. Defeatdepression.ca. The two of you combined are certainly doing that and then some. Very impressive stuff. Thank you both very much for what you're doing and for joining the show today. Appreciate your time.
All right. My pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much, Mike, for having us. We really appreciate it.
Julianne Weidman joins us by phone. Clay Williams in studio from Elmira. Defeatdepression.ca. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
My daddy worked construction. My brother too. He got me in the union. I'm paying my dues. Oh, but the woman I love has expensive taste. She's never satisfied. The latest things, a diamond ring, a car with an ultra glide. I work so hard, paying for all that stuff. 8 shifts a week, it's never enough. I'm laying pipe all night long.
David Wilcox, some CanCon, you know if you know. Laying pipe, too many names to put beside the request for that one on this All Request Friday. Oh, Farwell's force in fine form today. We're playing your working songs heading into the long Labor Day weekend on this All Request Friday. Some David Wilcox for you. Fridays also mean our not $1 million question. And we had a little computer glitch before 10, which ran me out of time to tell you the answer, and I apologize for that, but I promised before 10:30. 10% of Canadians say they have complete trust in this. What is it? Our good friend Conservative Charlie is with us on the phone. Charlie,
I got a bang-up answer for this one, Mike.
I can't wait.
The Liberal Party of Canada. Now, I figure 10%, they know why they're voting for him. They have confidence in him. And I think the rest of the people that vote Liberal don't have any idea why they're doing that.
Charlie, don't ever change, okay?
Okay, am I right, Mike?
You're not, sir. But what a great guess, though.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Charlie. Charlie's answer reminds me of Paul's email to Mike at 570news.com. I absolutely know the answer, says Paul. Every Canadian has 100% faith in Carney doing something illegal, corrupt, or a violation of ethics, just like every Liberal before him and every Liberal to follow. Sorry, not the answer. 10% of Canadians have complete trust in this. Angela, listening this morning from British Columbia. Good early morning to you, Angela. It's barely 7:30 where you are. And Angela's guess via email to Mike at 570news.com is the Farmer's Almanac. That's a very good guess, but not the answer we're looking for. Annie by email guesses believing their horoscope. Annie, you are right there. Not quite the answer, but right there. 10% of Canadians say they have complete trust in this. What is it? Tarot card readings. 10% of Canadians have complete trust in tarot card readings. What? But the mainstream media can't get trusted? But 10% of you think your tarot card reading is completely trustworthy. Go figure. That is the answer this week to your not $1 million question. Thank you for playing along. And I'm sure next week the computers will not get in the way of us delivering our answer at the appropriate time. Nonetheless, I'm going to get you to the 570 News Center right on time this time. And then Let's talk about the Kitchener Panthers season that was and what lies ahead. WRSE Weekly is coming up on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio. That this song was going to make the cut today, right? As we play your working songs heading into the Labor Day long weekend. So your requests are for working songs today. And Corey, Curtis, and Bob all wanted a little lover boy on their all request Friday with working for the weekend. Well, they've been working hard all season long, but sadly that season came to an end last weekend. We've been featuring them on the show throughout the summer in this weekly segment called WRSE Weekly, Waterloo Region Sports and Entertainment. That, of course, is the umbrella organization for both our KW Titans and our Kitchener Panthers. Shanif Hirani, the general manager of the Panthers, joins us again this morning. Shanif, good morning.
Morning, Mike.
Obviously, making the playoffs was a great thing for the Panthers to do for the season, but it didn't go the way you wanted, getting swept by Welland, although you took them to the wire in that final game. But what Shanif, was the difference in the series, do you think?
We played them well. The first game was tough. They jumped out to an early lead, and we weren't able to get back. But I think we played really good baseball the other two games. Unfortunately, we lost that heartbreaker, but they had a lot of depth that they were able to pull on throughout a series, which is something I think they had an advantage over us with. But overall, our guys fought till the very last out, so definitely happy with that.
What might that tell you, Shanif, about what your team needs to be more competitive next season?
Yeah, we've already started our roster building for the next season, so we're looking to build out that depth. Pitching is going to be a big focus for us this winter. That's somewhere where we felt like some of the other teams in the league might have had more options to go to late in games in their bullpen. So we're definitely going to be looking at the pitching aspect of things.
You and your family, as part of WSRE here in the region, your first season here with the Panthers, and you as GM, Shanif, when you look back on the season as a whole, what are your takeaways?
I'd say, at least to start with some of the off-the-field things, we were really happy with the progress we were able to make. Of course, we're going to keep doing whatever we can to keep that fan experience as good as we can make it, and make it something enjoyable for families to come out and watch. We were able to double attendance this year off of last year, which is great. Our fans showed us nothing but support. Even though we did have some tough times on the field, they kept showing up and kept supporting our players, which they took notice to, and we're extremely happy about. And then we're going to keep building off the field. We've talked about the seating. We've talked about some of the other upgrades that we'd like to add to Jack Couch. So whatever we can do to make the fan experience as good as it can be is what we're going to keep working towards. And then on the field, just keep working away. We're hosting some camps here in the near future. We'll be traveling around a bit to try and bring some new talent in and put together a team that City of Kitchener can be proud of.
You mentioned already the roster is beginning to be built for next season with that emphasis on pitching. And, you know, Shanif, we like to joke that hockey is a 12-month-a-year operation these days. But I think any sport, and especially when you're playing at a competitive level, there aren't many days off, or the off season isn't really off. What does the fall and winter look like for you as you get set for next spring?
Yeah, so we're just wrapping up this season with our players and going through how we all felt it went from their point of view, from our point of view. And then I'm going to be heading out here pretty soon. We're planning a camp in the Dominican Republic. We're planning a camp in British Columbia, and then also one in Florida. So be touring around a little bit, trying to find the best talent that we can, and bring guys in that are not only good baseball players, but going to help build a culture here.
And what would your message be to fans of the Kitchener Panthers after their support this season and what they can look forward to next year?
Yeah, well, first off, thank you for the continued support. It didn't go unnoticed, but please bear with us. We're going to get this thing right. It was year one, and we put a lot of things into place that I think can help us in the future, and we're going to make sure that we get this thing back on track and get back to Kitchener's winning ways.
Shanif, we're glad to have you on board, you and the family with the team and Waterloo Region Sports and Entertainment, and we look forward to another exciting season of Panthers baseball when the weather starts getting nice again. Thanks for being with us this year.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye. Shanif Hirani, General Manager of your Kitchener Panthers. The season came to an end at the hands of the Welland Jackfish, a 3-game sweep in the best of 5. But really, the Jackfish, the cream of the inter-county crop this year. Deep, talented, much like last year. The Panthers take some lessons from that, and the work has already begun for next season. Waterloo Region Sports and Entertainment, WRSE. That banner hangs over both the Titans in basketball and the Panthers there in baseball. So as Shanif and the rest of his group get to work on the next baseball season and finding those best players available, we'll start looking forward to the KW Titans launching another season. And we know we'll be supporting them as well. They went deep in the playoffs again last year, back-to-back years for nice playoff runs for the Titans. So we'll keep you up to date with them. And as you know, this time of our show has been reserved for our local sports teams, including, of course, the Kitchener Rangers, which we are the proud broadcast partners of, on September the 19th. So 3 Fridays from now, just 3 more Fridays, we'll start the weekly coaches show with head coach UC Ahokas right here at this time every Friday morning. So that's coming up. And of course, as broadcast partners, the home of the Kitchener Rangers, we will bring you all of that action with our new color analyst, Josh Piercy, every Rangers game home and away. And you'll know what's going on thanks to this radio station and our partnership with the hockey club. Speaking of hockey, the Siskins are back. And I say that deliberately, back, because you may remember the historical, traditional Waterloo Siskins became, for a minute anyway, the KW Siskins. But they've rebranded back to their original roots. And the Waterloo Siskins are ready to go for another season. They've also got a request. We could even call it an urgent appeal. And you'll hear about it next on the Mike Farwell Show. Stay with us on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
It's only a job, just a pain in your neck. And at the end of the week, the bank looks sweet, but you're digging your grave for a paycheck. Make the years just fly away, and that just ain't you. You're made for so much more. There's a big old world to see, and your time, it ain't for free. It's only a job.
That's my buddy Eric Jackson and the Willow River Band, a song called Only a Livin'. And Jake wanted to request that song because he's a buddy of Eric's too. That's because Eric is a really, really good guy. Only a Livin' by request on this All Request Friday, heading into the Labor Day long weekend, where we take your working song requests. And Jake says he's sending that out to his 85-year-old grandma, who at 85 is still working full time. Jake says his grandma's a working animal. Clearly she is at 85 and still working full time. Love it as we play your requests on the show today. I mentioned before the break, the Siskins are back, as in the Waterloo Siskins, rebranding to their original roots away from the KW Siskins. And it's worth noting that as an organization with the nickname Siskins, they are one of the longest running junior hockey teams in hockey history and hold the distinction of having won the most Southies Sutherland Cup championships. And the Siskins will compete again in the Western Conference of the GOJHL, the Greater Ontario Junior Hockey League. General Manager of the club, Brian Huddle, joins us this morning. Brian, good morning.
Morning, Mike.
Why the rebrand? Why go back to the original Waterloo Siskins roots?
That's a great question. I do believe from my standpoint and as well as the ownership group that, this was a kind of a recommitment back to the history of Waterloo, the history of 12 Sutherland Cups, as you mentioned, but also a recommitment to the community and to the alumni. The alumni was very, very vocal at our 90th celebration back in January about their desire to have that comeback, that Waterloo Siskins was important to them. And we do believe that the alumni are the lifeblood of our organization.
I think it's a fantastic reason for it. And I'm so glad we are kind of returning to these original roots. So many of us identify with it that way. I think it's a great decision. As you get ready for another season, Brian, how's the team looking? Where are things at?
Things are great. We're really, really looking forward to getting going here in early September. The team is picked at this point. We're just kind of waiting on a couple guys from OHL camps to see what happens with them. But we have three goalies that we believe all can be number one. So it's kind of a nice luxury to have. We have a lot of returning defensemen, as well as we have a Kitchener Ranger prospect on our back end that's going to kind of help push the pace. And then we're going to be young and hungry up front. Hardworking team. It's going to be hard to play against, I believe.
I have no doubt about it. And you mentioned, those OHL prospects, waiting for those camps to finish and see, what might be available for your team. But just a note about the GOJHL, Brian, and the caliber of hockey folks get to see when they're coming to a Siskins game.
Yeah, it's really, really good hockey. It's fast. I think it's a lot more physical than some people realize. You go to an OHL game, and I think it's just a step below it. Just a little bit not as quick, but that's the difference. But it's still just as good and just as entertaining, I think, for the fans.
One of the things that people who follow the Ontario Hockey League know well is that billet families are kind of the lifeblood of a junior hockey organization. The players may wear a jersey that represents our city, but they come from faraway places. The Kitchener Rangers just talking recently about signing a player from Finland. So they need places to stay. Those billet families are integral to junior hockey, and it's no different with the Siskins. And I know that you're looking for at least one billet family to step up.
We are. We're in an urgent need for some billets. For us as an organization, we do want to be as local as possible to Waterloo, to this region. If you go up and down our roster, Cambridge, Guelph, Kitchener, Waterloo, we are pretty local. But to be competitive and to have a good team, you do have to look outside our footprint. And that's we have some guys who are really good hockey players that we're looking to place in the homes here as they kind of are ready to move in the next couple of days. And we're just kind of putting out feelers to the surrounding area. Step up and help. This organization, 90 years of history, and hopefully somebody will help us with that request.
If anybody has the desire to support the Siskins in this way and step up as a billet family, where might they be able to get more information, Brian?
Yeah, if you want to check out our website, siskinshockey.ca. There is a option on the website for host a Siskin, and your information will go to our Director of Business Operations, Lori Whitty, who has recently joined the club and has been amazing to work with, but she will definitely be able to get you more information.
siskinshockey.ca. That's the website I will point you to. As you head into the season, Brian, you talked about a team that's going to be hungry up front. Sounds like it's pretty solid in goal. How do you feel about the chances? What's it going to take to be really competitive in that Western Conference this year?
Yeah, it's a grind every night, Mike. There's up through 1 through 12 in our conference are good, and I think that's it makes all the players better. It's making the development better. But for us, it's how quickly do some of these guys pick up on some of the things that we want to do. It may be a couple of weeks, it may be a couple of months, but we feel by Christmas, in the second half of the season, you're probably going to see a team that's really, really hard to play against, and a team that I don't think a lot of teams were going to want to play in the playoffs.
Really looking forward to the season ahead, Brian. Best of luck in it, and thanks very much for making time for the show this morning.
I appreciate it, Mike. Thank you so much.
Brian Huddle is the general manager of the Waterloo Siskins. They're back, baby, and rightly so, if I do say so myself. The Waterloo Siskins. And if you can help out in that billet family situation, the urgent appeal is being made. Check out siskinshockey.ca. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Those are the Dead Kennedys, song called At My Job on this All Request Friday featuring working songs. And it comes from Nate, number 8, official member of Farwell's Force. We are a force for good. We are a force for change. We are a force to be reckoned with. And we are a force that, as of yesterday, is now 155 members strong. I'll tell you what, we keep this up, and oh boy, regional council's going to start quaking in their political boots, aren't they? We're making things happen around here. If you are a regular listener of this program, all you really need to, tell you what, the trade-off is this: 15 minutes a day. I'd love it if you stick around all 4 hours. Oh my goodness, would I love that. You want to do 240 minutes, you're welcome to do it. You give me 15 every day, and you are a member of Farwell's Force in good standing. Drop me a note, Mike at 570news.com. We'll make you a member of this force for good. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
It's been a hard day's night, and I've been working like a dog. It's been a hard day's night. I should be sleeping like a log. But when I get home to you, I find the things that you do will make me feel alright. You know I work all day.
Both Mary and Gary wanted to hear Hard Day's Night by the Beatles on this All Request Friday, featuring our working songs as we head into the long Labor Day weekend. And so we play it for you because that's what happens. You make the request and we play a bit of it on the show on our All Request Fridays. We put our guests on the Friday 4 to work each and every week between 11 and noon. They give us an hour of their time to share with us their thoughts on the week's big stories. And very pleased to be joined this week by Janice Jim, who's the Vice President of Cycle Waterloo Region. Janice, good morning to you.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Headed into a long weekend as well. And Julie Callflesh is with us also. She's the Director of Fundraising and Communications for Sanguine Health Center. Julie, great to see you. Good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
Let's dive in on a story that we know the reaction from the Ontario Premier about, because he brought it up in a media conference earlier this week. Did you see those guys at that LCBO in Kitchener? Janice, I'll start with you. The brazen robbery to which the Premier referred. What's your reaction to the story, and maybe even your reaction to Doug Ford's description of it?
it's always distressing to see something brazen crime in the community that happens like that. So I agree that it's kind of shocking as a regular upstanding citizen to see that. But Ford could be doing more than just using his words. He could be funding the criminal justice system properly. I think we've talked about on the show before that there's not enough lawyers, there's not enough judges, there's not enough funding for court staff to get all the court cases through. So he should put money where his mouth is and fund the criminal justice system properly.
It's interesting you bring that up, Janice, because we had Waterloo MPP Catherine Fife on the show earlier this week. She spent an hour with us in studio answering questions. One of the questions from our listeners was about that very thing, crime, how to control it. And Ms. Fife pointed out very directly the backlog that currently exists within the court system and how long people are waiting. So we can talk all we want about putting more people into that system. The backlog is already pretty severe. Julie, what are your thoughts on the robbery and the reactions to it?
Definitely agree with Janice that for the folks who had to experience that firsthand, who were robbed in the store, I think, that's terrible. And we never want to see that. I almost spit out my drink when I heard Doug Ford say that they're stealing from taxpayers, because I thought, well, isn't that interesting? And some might say you are as well. Just put that out there. But I think I'm always going to go back to in these kinds of conversations, the work that I do in this community and where I see the impacts of affordability and the affordability crisis. And if people could have a better understanding that we literally don't pay folks enough to survive. And until we get our heads around a higher minimum wage, better rent control, all of these things, people are going to turn to crime. Now, I'm not saying that that's a circumstance of these individuals. I really how can we know? But I certainly hear that a lot in the work that we do, that, well, folks are, they're stealing bikes, they're stealing this, in those countries where we've seen governments make the courageous steps towards paying people at levels and requiring that people be paid at levels that they can actually comfortably live, you see crime rates drop, you see homelessness drop. So to me, it's a question of not unlike what Janice said, how are we using the money that taxpayers are contributing? How is it being used to better fund these systems that we need to rely on?
I hear where you're coming from on this, and I guess what you're getting around to is the idea, perhaps, of a universal basic income.
Yeah, I don't have the whole plan worked out. I was writing some notes right before I came on the show, Mike, but I definitely, it's an everyday conversation in the work that I do that people don't make enough money to survive. And we're seeing more people fall into homelessness who we never would have expected to be there because they cannot afford to hold on to their houses. They cannot afford to pay their rent. So I think that desperate times call for desperate measures for some folks. And as much as, stealing is wrong, and I believe that to my core, I think that we have to examine why that's happening. And yeah, a universal basic, wage is probably something that would really help with that. Looking at ODSP and OW and, what we're paying folks and expecting them to survive. The way that we treat folks who collect that type of support and then try to get a job, it's just the system itself is working against so many people that it's really understandable that and it should be expected that we're going to see more of this kind of behavior.
Janice, it's impossible to know the socioeconomic backgrounds of the people who were seen in this video. But one thing that does seem pretty clear is that they knew where they could make some pretty easy money because this is broad daylight. They're on cell phone camera. They know it. they're brazenly filling up bags, walking out because they know there's a payday at the other end of this.
Yeah, well, like Julie said, community supports and better jobs and better supports for homeless. It's all connected, and there's definitely a jobs crisis right now. The youth unemployment rate is the highest it's ever been, even for university and college graduates. So that's it's definitely at a crisis level, and homeless problem. Other countries have done a lot better with even solving the homeless crisis, like Norway. They have subsidized housing and support programs, and universal basic income is another subject we could explore. There's actually some legislation in Canada's Senate right now being discussed on implementing that. So hopefully we'll see something happening, because right now things are getting worse, I think, with just the unemployment rate and the effects of the U.S. tariffs. And we're not really implementing any new solutions to help.
Janice, Jim is the vice president, of Cycle Waterloo Region. Julie Kalflesh, director of fundraising and communications for Sanguine Health Center. They join us on the Friday 4 Roundtable this morning. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, kind of connected, we're talking about people not getting paid enough for the work that they do. What about the work that they do and where they are doing it from? Premier Ford also this week saying it's time that people got back to the office 5 days a week. We'll get our guests' perspective on that as we continue the Friday 4 on the Mike Farwell Show this morning, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
I am a lineman for the county, and I drive the main road, searching in the sun for another overload. I hear you singing in the wire.
It is the second time this week we've had the chance to hear Glenn Campbell on the show. And as one of my mom's favorites, I am more than okay with that. Wichita lineman by request from Joyce on your All Request Friday Working Songs edition as we head into the long Labor Day weekend. A Friday tradition on this show is our Friday 4 Roundtable discussing the week's big stories. Janice, Jim, and Julie Kalflesh with us on the roundtable this morning. One of the things that Ontario Premier Doug Ford does that reminds me the most of U.S. President Donald Trump is that everyone's a champion, everything's the greatest, and in this case, the greatest are the public service employees we have working in Ontario. Doug Ford made it clear that we've got the best public servants anywhere in Canada, maybe the world, but it's also time for them to come back to the office full-time, 5 days a week. And when he made that statement, the reporter had a follow-up question wondering if it was the desire to have people back full-time was in response to the big banks and the parent company of this radio station, Rogers Communications, which has also said, hey, it's time for us to get back to the office full-time as well. Julie, I'll start with you on this one. Is it time that we had people back in the office 5 days a week?
I think that it depends on the job. Obviously, there are certain roles that need to maybe have that frontline interface. But no, I think this is an archaic approach. It isn't supported by evidence. There's, you do hear that opinion that it isn't as productive when you have people working from home and you miss the water cooler conversations and all these other archaic kind of references. But the truth is that the little bit of studying we've been able to do on this shows that productivity is in fact higher in this time since COVID, where we've had this work from home model. And I think that it's going to cost organizations, like, as someone who was a public servant, has worked alongside public servants for many, many years, I agree with Ford on that. We have incredible people working in our governments who are supporting the work and doing great work. And during COVID, they did great work from home. So to me, to just make this blanket decision that will truly impact people is going to negatively impact the workforce. You're going to lose talent who will go elsewhere to places where they have more flexible schedules. And it's even something that needs to be looked at from a cost standpoint that, there's going to be infrastructure impacts, whether it's in the buildings. If you go from having, 100 to 200 people in a building, all of a sudden 500 people in a building, and they're all using the facilities and the toilets and all of that, you're going to have wear and tear that increases, and those costs will increase. Traffic, but it's also an equity issue where we are taking off the table some really nice perks to working from home. So it reduces costs, especially if you look at families with children. Maybe they don't have to invest in after school programs because they're able to, get their children home and continue to work. But know their kids are home safely. Like after school before and after school is very expensive and probably out of reach for a lot of families. There's, commuting costs. Now all of a sudden people have to get themselves back to the office. That's on their shoulders. So maybe that job, was a good income, but now they're paying to commute into the office. They're having to buy a car. They're also having to pay for meals. Yes, they can pack a lunch, but it's a different kind of scenario when you're going into work every day. Sometimes you don't have time for that. Now you're spending money on food and clothing costs. Like I'm literally in my pajamas right now, Mike. No, but I mean, it is, these are all the things that aren't being considered when these decisions are just being made based on an opinion or a feeling. I also think it'll create distrust because as someone who was on a leadership team during that transition back from COVID, we said things like, we learned from this. The job force is different now. And, people can work from home and be super productive, and we trust you. And now it's just, you're taking all of that away without discussion, without an opportunity for input. I think it's just an unnecessary, and I'm sure it will feel punitive to a lot of people. And in the end, I just think that there's other things that we can do to build up that culture, to build up, like I work exclusively from home in my consulting work, and I have great relationships with the people I work with through technology. I see them every couple of months in person, but mostly we're online. It is possible. We just have to open our minds to it.
Janice, what's your take on working from home or going back to the office?
Another great example of Ford shooting his mouth off based on his kind of outdated worldview without any, evidence and support. I'll start out with saying, how many days did the Ontario legislature sit so far this year? And they're not scheduled to go back until October 20th. And also, even when the House is sitting, Ford is barely in his seat for question period. So I'll start with that. He doesn't show up to work himself in person. But yeah, like Julie said, there's all these evidence that the hybrid model is much better for employees and their work-life balance. Like all the factors you mentioned, traveling, family life, cost, that's going to be eaten up by the employee and not the employer if they require 5 days a week strictly. And also, a lot of companies downsize their office space. Even Toronto City is a good example. They don't have enough office space if they require all their employees to go back full time. So, perfect example of Ford just shooting off his mouth without any kind of thinking about the logistics and the cost of what he's asking. And then now he's turning it into another wedge culture war issue. I noticed that the city of Ottawa, with kind of a right-wing mayor, has ordered their employees back 5 days a week, while Toronto has said they're going to keep their current model. So there's all these costs that's involved that he didn't think of before he makes these statements.
I think your point I hadn't even considered on the provincial legislature is very well taken. We all know that our MPPs do work and they're connecting with constituents when they're not at Queen's Park, but a near 5-month summer break is pretty remarkable stuff. Janice Jim, Julie Callflesh with us on our Friday 4 Roundtable this morning on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more. A woman done left, took on the reason I was working for. You better not try to stand in my way as I'm walking out the door. Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more.
You know, if you tried saying that to the boss as you left the office today, she might give you Monday off and take an extra long weekend for an attitude like that, young fella. Some Johnny Paycheck on this All Request Friday featuring working songs. And Terry wanted to hear Take This Job and Shove It. Terry, I'm sorry you're having such a rough week at work. We're having fun on the Friday 4 Roundtable, as we always do, talking about going back to work 5 days a week, brazen LCBO robberies, and we've got more to come with our guests, including, I think it was the biggest news of the week, that engagement thing, right? And Nova Scotia considers following the lead of Australia, Norway, Quebec. Is it time for a ban on social media use for youth? That conversation coming up on our Friday 4 Roundtable on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio.
I'm a hard-working man. I wear a steel hard hat. I can ride rope, a hammer and paint, do things with my hands that most men can't. I can't get ahead no matter how hard I try. I'm getting really good at barely getting by.
One of the best-selling duos in music history. That's Brooks and Dunn with Hard Working Man. It's an all-request Friday here on the show, taking your requests for working songs on the program. It is the long Labor Day weekend coming up. Fridays at this time also mean your Friday 4 Roundtable, and pleased to be joined this morning by Janice Jim, who's the Vice President of Cycle Waterloo Region, and Julie Callflesh, who's the Director of Fundraising and Communications for Sanguine Health Center. Janice, I'll start with you on this next one, and I find it so very interesting because it seems to be coming slowly, frankly, to let the cat out of the bag. I think it should be a thing, but Australia did it. Quebec is considering it. Norway's considering it. Now Nova Scotia is looking at banning social media for children under the age of 16. What do you think of the idea, Janice?
I think it's definitely an issue that needs to be explored. Having age verification checks for social media, I think, is a good idea. Some parents are just simply not aware of the harms that are on those platforms. There's been some studies, researchers made an account on TikTok and put in as a 13-year-old boy. And immediately after watching a couple of videos, they get directed to, disturbing content. It could be anything about like body image issues or like the right-wing manosphere. And that's, showing up in our classrooms. There was a recent study saying that right-wing, manosphere is influencing behavior in classrooms that teachers are dealing with now. And parents just, sometimes they're just too busy and everyone has a phone and they don't understand how much damage is being done by being on all these social media networks that don't have any verification. And also being able to chat with anyone. And there's no way for parents to really monitor this. So it's definitely changed a lot since, I'm sure, like Julie and I grew up. It's a way different world,
And I weigh that all the time, Janice, recognizing that, like the two of you, I also grew up in a completely different time. So I don't want to necessarily just be, well, times have changed and that's why we're pushing back. But boy, oh boy, this is, and your point about the 13-year-old and the study of the content that was then the algorithms or the social media platforms were directing to him. And Dr. Allison Young right here in Kitchener is doing some great work in this regard. But enough from me. Julie, over to you. Thoughts on the idea of, kids under 16, maybe no social media?
Yeah, I think that I would have welcomed that. I mean, my kids are now, 18 and almost 15. So, we're kind of already locked into whatever the outcome is going to be. And I think that we tried to parent and be proactive and police things, but at the end of the day, you don't really know. And I think that it's been really hard, especially for my generation of parents who are not as savvy on social media to help guide their children. I also think you've got the platforms working against us, right? So you've talked to Janice about the algorithms that exist that are preying on children. I think unless we get to a place where, we're looking at this from a national standpoint, and we can really put sanctions in place, it'll be difficult to police and to implement. So then, there's other things that we can do as well, like better education built into the curriculum around social media and online worlds and relationships and all of those things. Because the other piece is that there's a really good tool there that can be used for good things, but it needs to be something that we approach like driving a car and like other things that give them the training and the education so they know how to do it safely. So I'm glad to hear that there are governments that are exploring this. I think it'll be challenging, but I would have welcomed the help at 13 when my kids were asking, I want to be on these platforms. Everyone's on them. I would have appreciated having that, age restriction just to kind of back it up.
I think it's such a good point about, even as hard as you try as a parent, Julie, you don't really know. And I'm thinking of the Netflix series. I think it was called Adolescence. Was that the name of it? Anyway, young boy. Yeah. And then even his father, the police officer, trying to figure out this terrible incident at a high school, had he couldn't have read the messages that were being exchanged if he wanted to, because there was so much code embedded into each emoji, each short form that was being used. And I guess I'm just thinking back on our youth again, and our parents were probably worried about the screen time that was the TV. But that Saturday morning cartoons or after school specials were understandable. Parents have no idea really what's going on those screens right now.
I did watch some Dallas and Love Boat, though, and I'm not sure that was age appropriate.
I had to go to confession after that, Call Flesh.
But, I think that it's something that, you even look at the burden on educators right now. I know my husband's a vice principal, and a lot of the issues that they deal with in the schools now center around social media and things that start online. And I don't think that we need to reskill people who are working with kids to be able to better support them. Like, it's just, it's ballooned into this thing in the last, 20 years that I don't think anyone was prepared for, and we don't have the tools, and we shouldn't be expected to, but we should certainly seek out ways to be better prepared to support young people as they use these tools, or in this case, keep them off of it as long as they can.
Janice, I can't help but think in these conversations, and I think Julie's word ballooning is a perfect way to describe this. And so much of the onus is being placed on parents. What can parents do? What kind of controls should parents put in place? Now we've got governments intervening here, or perhaps intervening. What about big tech? What about the creators of these social media platforms? Where is their accountability in all of it?
Yep, I think that's a big issue that they've left off. because they keep developing all this technology and release it, and without, figuring out the social implications. So New York Times article about ChatGPT. A teen was using ChatGPT as a therapist, and he had thoughts of suicide, and ChatGPT ended up, helping him research and encouraging him to act. And the parents had no idea because there was no way for them to read what their son was talking to ChatGPT about. Another fascinating fact I'll drop is that China has their own version of TikTok just for youth, and it is completely different than the TikTok that's released in North America. TikTok is a Chinese company. So they have a youth-specific version of TikTok in China that only shows educational content. So it's not, the garbage that we have on our, version. So that tells you something, that the government there stepped in and to make their own TikTok that's only for youth.
Excellent example, and maybe one that we could consider modeling. Janice Jim, Julie Callflesh with us on the Friday 4 Roundtable this morning. Okay, you can have your brazen LCBO robberies. You can have back-to-work legislation. You can ban social media. But you cannot get away from the biggest news of this week, the football star and the pop star. And to call her a star and him a star is unfair, because she's a mammoth force in pop culture, and they're going to get married. We'll get our guests' perspective on that as we continue the roundtable this morning on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. For nothing, Yuda. Some of us still have to, we got an hour and a bit of the show still to go. But on this all request Friday working songs edition, Yuda wanted to hear Todd Rundgren and Bang the Drum All Day. I don't want to work either, but I'm going to stick with it. I've got 75 minutes left in me this week, I promise. Our Friday 4 Roundtable continues this morning. Julie Callflesh, Janice Jim with us. And it is, without question, in my opinion, the biggest story of the entire week. Take all your political news, all of your international news, and sum it up with 2 words: the engagement. Julie, what do you think? Taylor and what's his name? Travis Kelce. Whew, I forgot that for a second. What's your take on the engagement, Julie?
I'm happy for them, and I wish them well. I think, we all needed a good piece of good news, right? And that's why it's such a big deal. And I mean, she's a huge deal. He's a huge deal. It's great. And I think it's got to be incredibly difficult to be the two of them and be in a relationship. So I wish them well. And I hope that people, stay out of the nastiness that I did see a bit of as well, especially in relation to Taylor and her past relationships and things like that. I think that, I think they'll do it the way that they want to do it, and manage the chaos that kind of surrounds them. And I think they're a good match.
Janice, what's your take on the engagement?
Yeah, like Julie said, it's always a welcome distraction to have some fun news that, people don't have to argue about, even though I think there was some argument on Twitter. The right wing seems to have claimed Travis Kelce, and Taylor Swift's more left wing. So they're like, oh no, we lost him. So we'll see. But yeah, good for them. And managing the spotlight, Taylor Swift has already done that really well. So I think she'll keep doing what she's doing, and hope they're happy.
So here's a little bit of a different angle on this. I'm old enough to remember a time where one got one's entertainment news from Mary Hart and John Tesh on a show called Entertainment Tonight. Before John Tesh, there was somebody else whose name I'm forgetting. But anyway, and really, there were kind of distinct silos, if you will, in the information or news game. There was news, and then there was entertainment news. And I will be perfectly honest, and this probably won't surprise you because of who I am, but I fought tooth and nail. I had a very heated discussion with a former manager of mine when these worlds started to cross over one another. And I'm like, no, I'm a news person here. I'm not talking about this entertainment story as part of my newscast because the two should be separate. How do we feel about this being this is the biggest news story, and you're going to see it as likely as the lead story, or hear it. It was our lead story earlier this week in the afternoon news with Aaron Anderson and Paul McPhee. Taylor and Travis above anything else. Are we okay with where we're at in the cycle, in the infotainment business?
I had a New York Times news alert for Taylor Swift, and there was a Toronto Star news alert for it. So I guess it's big news. I don't know what to say. I mean, it does, affect a lot of people, a lot of people care about it in terms of audience numbers. And I guess pop culture is part of mass culture. The medium is the message, and then we're just adapting to the times, right? And that's why the news reported it as their top story.
What do you think, Julie?
Yeah, I think that we are in a different time with social media. They broke the story, right? Which I thought was awesome. So they were the ones that released it. They were the ones that controlled the pictures and the message. And I really loved that for them. And so everyone else had to play catch up, and, you could almost time it. Like, I happened to see the post 6 minutes after it had gone up. And so I refreshed to see who else is talking about it. And it took probably another 10, 15 minutes. I'm sure they were scrambling all the magazines, all the different outlets trying to get that out. And so I think, social media, because people can choose their own news now, we have to expect that blurring of lines between entertainment and regular news, or what we define as the old people who, have maybe gotten their news in different ways. It's different for this generation and for younger people. And we have to understand that, lean into it, and leverage it.
You know what? I'm not certain still that it's what Woodward and Bernstein had in mind about 50 years ago. I think Edward R. Murrow might be turning in his grave, but look, I'm old, I'm stubborn, I'm a little bit cranky, but I'm also willing to admit that the former manager with whom I had the heated discussion about this was right. I was wrong. So DK, if you're still listening to this show, you had me, buddy. You knew all those years ago, and stubborn old fool like me couldn't quite get my head around it, but I think it's all good today. Janice, Julie, you've been great. Thank you very much for your time on our show that you give us every week for this. And we look forward to the next time that you can join us on the Friday 4.
Thanks, Mike.
Have a good weekend.
Janice Jim, Vice President, Cycle Waterloo Region. Julie Callflesh, Director of Fundraising Communications for Sanguine Health Center. Our guests on the Friday 4. Roundtable on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
It's a working man I am, and I've been down underground. I swear to God, if I ever see the sun, or for any length of time, I can hold it in my mind. I never again will go down underground. At the age of 16 years, he quarreled with his peers, who vowed there'd never be another one. In the dark recess of the mind, where you age for your time, and the cold dust lies heavy on your love.
Francis wanted to hear the Dubliners on our All Request Friday Working Songs edition. It's a song called Working Man, and who knows better than a Dubliner about being a working man or woman? That good old Irish work ethic. We continue taking your requests, as we do every Friday. This week's theme, working songs, because we are headed into the long holiday weekend. So we'll get an extra day off, but it's for Labor Day, hence the working songs theme on this All Request Friday. And, you know, I'm just thinking back on that final conversation on our roundtable a moment ago, and the manager who was right and I was wrong about the crossover between entertainment and information, the sort of infotainment we talk about now. But you know what, DK, if you are still listening to this radio station, I'm still here, baby. Where are you? I'm still here. Even when I make mistakes, they keep me around. Who's making the bigger mistake? That would be an excellent question to ask my current manager, but we'll just leave her out of it for now because we don't want to let her in on all the dirty little secrets that go on around here when she's not paying attention. Too bad everything gets recorded, eh? She can listen back anytime. All right, we are heading into that final hour of our week together, and that means Free Phones Friday. No, we're not giving you a phone for free, but our phone lines are freely opened to you so you can share with us what's on your mind. A reflection on one of the big stories this week, something else going on today. You want to tell me your plans for the weekend? I'm all ears. Free Phones Friday after this update from the 570 News Center on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers.
Tumble out of bed and I stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition and yawn and stretch and try to come to life. Jump in the shower and the blood starts pumping. Out on the streets the traffic starts jumping with folks like me on the job from 9 to 5. Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Barely getting by, it's all taking and no giving. They just use your mind.
You knew this one had to come up on our All Request Friday Working Songs edition. Andre and my buddy Bill wanted to hear some Dolly Parton and 9 to 5. I work 9 to 1, okay? But we're into that final hour, 12 until 1, and it's the time we open up the phone lines so we can hear directly from you, and you can share with us your thoughts on the news of the day or anything else that's going on as we head into a long holiday weekend. Labor Day Monday gives us an extra day off. And it occurred to me during that update with Matt that I'm getting hungry. Earlier today, our good buddy Jay from Morty's in Waterloo brought in some chicken wings for my friends in the newsroom because they helped me out earlier this week with a hot sauce challenge that I was clearly not up to. But they didn't get any chicken wings with their hot sauce when they helped out, and I thought, I owe them a solid. So I sent Jay a note. I'm like, can you help me out? And, of course, Jay, being the kind of guy that he is, he made sure I paid a much lower price, a much lower price than I otherwise would have, and I'm very grateful. I was trying to I owed my coworkers, and so I guess if I owe my coworkers, I just call on a friend. But I didn't get any of those wings either. Now I'm hungry. Good thing I've got my yogurt and berries to get me through this final hour. Kids, when you reach a certain age, you'll understand. It's yogurt and berries, baby. That's what we get. All right, let's get to the phones on Free Phones Friday, where you set the agenda. 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. Dave, start us off. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike. First of all, before I start, I want to thank you for playing that song just prior to you coming on. It's not only a popular song, but the movie was great.
Yeah, it was. It really was. Good point. Lily Tomlin, Dabney Coleman, my goodness, the classics.
Right. So anyway, I want to open up the show by talking about the Kitchener Rangers, and I have two interesting points on it that you would know and I would know, but this is for the information for your loyal listeners.
Okay.
Number one, there's a very large contingent of Newfies in Cambridge.
Yes, there are, and I love them.
Right. Including, there's one in your Kitchener news station, I believe, that's also a Newfie.
Josh Piercy. He told us today. That's why I love him.
No, there's a newscaster. I was under the impression. I may be wrong, but I was told she's a Newfie.
I'm at a loss, Dave. If one of my other coworkers is a Newfie and I didn't know about it, I'm going to be very upset.
Okay.
Well, help me out. Who is it?
Well, I'm bad with names. I believe her last name starts with the letter L. She reads the news at usually around 5 or 6.
Erin Anderson? She's not a Newfie. If she's
the name?
Erin Anderson, she would be reading the news at 5 o'clock. No, it's not Erin, eh?
No.
Anyway. All right, Dave. Stop cheating on my radio station, pal.
All right.
Okay.
So that's the first one. The second one is, I just read it this morning, and I'm hoping you don't ask me the name of that either. So I read an interesting article that I saw it. It brought up the subject about the 4 open bids for the Memorial Cup.
Yes, that was written by my buddy Josh Brown.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting article. Have a great day, Mike.
Thanks, Dave. You too. The 4 teams that have submitted an intention to bid on the Memorial Cup: Niagara Ice Dogs, Kingston Frontenacs, Guelph Storm, and your Kitchener Rangers. Those 4 hopefuls will be shortlisted to 2, and when those 2 teams and markets are shortlisted, they will provide more information to the Canadian Hockey League about their intentions and hopes for a Memorial Cup bid. And then the winner will be announced late November, early December. And I feel pretty good about our chances here in Kitchener for a variety of reasons, but we'll just see how it all plays out. And again, Erin Anderson, who reads our afternoon news. Last time I checked, she's not a Newfie. She's weird like a Newfie, but she's not a Newfie. Andre, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike. Let's do a best of 7 with Guelph then.
You mean whichever team wins 4 out of 7 gets to host the Memorial Cup?
I think so.
It's not a bad idea. We'll have a playoff for the championship.
We'll make it a 1 tier.
Okay.
So I got rent to rave no Monday, right?
Well, there is no show on Monday. No, we're going to take an extra weekend, an extra day off.
I'm going to do many raves right now. Be quick. I really love, like usual, your show today. There was Janice on 4 Round. I really like the expression of there's a left, there's a right with Taylor Swift and Travis.
You didn't know there was a left and a right until Janice told you on the Friday 4 Roundtable, Andre?
No.
Okay.
What it is, Mike, is a parallel example of that. Anything that flies, you need 2 wings. I don't know if you said that before.
I have never said that before, but I like it.
I really like that.
If you only flew with 1 wing, you'd be flying in a circle.
No, you need 2 wings to fly.
Okay.
A left and a right.
Are you sure?
The other thing is Clay, for what he did.
Oh, my gosh. How about Clay Williams, who was on with us this morning at 10, ran 800 kilometers in 8 days.
Yeah.
Raising money for the Mood Disorders Society of Canada and mental health.
Incredible.
Incredible is right.
To describe. Thank you again for your show for that. And I have a rent. It's very unusual, but I have a rent. Mr. Rob Deutschman, who I elect and I support, and he is a very, very one unique person. But he talked negative about Rogers. He said customer service takes 3 years.
Oh, he was just kidding around, Andre. Don't worry about it. I laughed with him. Okay.
I want to put my comment, 2 cents, is Rogers, no matter what, Mike, are the best customer service.
There you go. I'm going to leave it on that note, Andre, because it can't get any better when you talk that well about the parent company of this radio station. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Breaker 19, this here's a rubber duck. You got a copy on me, Big Ben? Come on. Yeah, 10-4, Big Ben, for sure. By golly, it's clean clear to Flagtown. Come on. Yeah, it's a big 10-4 there, Big Ben. Yeah, we definitely got the front door, good buddy. Mercy sakes alive, looks like we've got us a convoy.
It was the dark of the moon on the 6th of June in a Kenworth pulling logs. Cab over Pete with a reefer on and a Jimmy hauling hogs. We is heading for Bear on I-10 about a mile out of Shaky Town. I says, Pigpen, this here's a rubber duck and I'm about to put the hammer down.
To all of my friends doing the Lord's work of hauling product, 18 wheels or even fewer. That's Convoy by C.W. McCall. By request from Kyle on this All Request Friday Working Songs edition. Bonus points if you can pick up this one and where it came from. Breaker one might be crazy, but I ain't dumb. Crazy Cooter coming at you. Come back. Where's that one come from? Oh, I spent a lot of time in front of the TV when I was a kid. All Request Friday and the Free Phones Friday Talkback Hour, noon until 1. Let's get back to your calls. Gary, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Farwell. How are you?
Top shelf. How are you?
I'm the same. I just left work from my part-time job, and I'm going to be off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and back to my full-time job on Tuesday.
Well, sounds like you got 4 days off ahead of you, buddy. Good man.
Yeah, man. It's going to be beautiful. But just wanted to keep it short and sweet. I hope you have a great weekend, Mike, with the family, and another great week of your show and topics, and it's been fantastic. I just love when being able to get in the vehicle, turn on 570, and see what's in store for the Farwell Show. But have a great weekend with the family, and go Jays go, and have yourself a great one. We'll see you next week.
All right, Gary, I appreciate it. Farwell's Force member number 41. Love feedback like that. Always happy to hear it. If you've got criticism, constructive or otherwise, I'll take that too. But I love to hear that the connection that the show makes with you. That's what it's all about. And I do look forward to the weekend ahead and the family time that comes with it, and the time with our extended family, if you will, at Rangers Fan Fest Sunday afternoon, noon to 1. I'll be on the air with the new guy, the newfie guy, Josh Piercy, who's joining our Kitchener Rangers broadcasts for the season ahead. So if you're at Fan Fest, please do say hello in real life, and if you're not at Fan Fest, we'll bring you some details and some Kitchener Rangers coverage from noon until 1 on Sunday. Free Phones Friday, over to Paul. Good afternoon, Paul.
Good afternoon. With the rebel flag painted on the roof of the General Lee, I don't think you'll ever see the Dukes of Hazzard back on TV again.
Breaker one might be crazy, but I ain't dumb. Crazy Cooter coming at you. Come back. Well done, Paul. Good job.
Easy. Now, listen, this whole Lindsay deal seems to be gaining steam. It seems to be working its way right across Canada. The other day at a press conference, Danielle Smith stood there and made a statement saying, if you don't want to get shot or beaten up, don't break into people's houses. And this was at a press conference, and the press actually started clapping and cheering for it. You had Doug Ford announcing that there's something wrong, that something has to be done about the fact that people can break into your home and you can end up getting charged. Today, Pierre Poilievre has announced that when Parliament resumes, he will push for the Liberal government to make changes to the laws to protect people from charges if they protect themselves when criminals break into their homes. Everybody seems to be in favor of allowing people to defend themselves. But you know something? I haven't heard a word from a single Liberal on this topic.
Yeah, you know, it's a fair point. It is, of course, summer. Prime Minister Carney, of course, in Europe on other business. But you're absolutely right. I mentioned during the Farwell Show 5 at the beginning of the show today that a media conference with the Conservative leader was coming up in Brampton, during which he announced the Stand on Guard private members bill that will be brought forward. And it says, and it puts the onus, it puts the onus on the intruder. It would ensure, this proposed amendment to the criminal code, that Canadians will not be thrown in jail for simply defending their homes, their families, and themselves. The amendment would deem the use of force to be presumed reasonable when used against an individual who unlawfully enters a house and poses a threat to the safety of anyone inside. Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives calling on the government to introduce such a bill this fall, failing which one of the party's members will do it through a private member's bill. But it presumes that the force is reasonable. That way, there's no discussion about it. What is reasonable? If you break in and I beat you, it's presumed reasonable because you did the unreasonable thing by breaking in. Free Phones Friday continues on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
And talking weather, work 90 farms. Got to know the farmer, knew all of their kids. Out in the country, that was 96. This life was good and steady, clean seats were passed.
Didn't he do a song called Woodstock with Crosby, Stills, and Nash? That's Neil Young and Working Man for David from Woodstock. You see what I did there? It's your All Request Friday Working Songs edition. As we continue Free Phones Friday, taking your calls. John is next. Good afternoon, John.
Hi, Michael, and a good afternoon to you, and hopefully you have a nice, long, safe weekend as we sort of kick off the Rangers, unofficially, I guess, towards the end of the weekend. I wanted to let you know, Mike, two things. One, I have the number 67 on that loving listenership list of yours, but I'm willing to trade that number for either number 24, which is, of course, the number of Stanley Cups that the team that's not to be mentioned has, or I'll trade it for number 25, which is the Knicks Cup we are trying to attain. I'll just leave that out there, Mike. If somebody wants to make that trade for number 67, which, and I'm anticipating some Maple Leaf fan deep in his or her heart will have remembrance of that number. I'm putting it out there. It's up for trade at this point.
Thank you, John. You are a scoundrel. That's like trading Courtnall for Cordick or something. But if Christine, Farwell's Force member number 24, or Heather from Brantford in at number 25 would like number 67, John is up for a trade. The Farwell's Force is now making trades. We're a force for good. We're a force for change. We're a force to be reckoned with. And apparently, we have freer trade than Canada and the United States. Free Phones Friday continues on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
there's not many days that I do. Gotta get up and take on that world. When you're an adult, it's no cliche, it's the truth. 'Cause I'm an adult now. I'm an adult now. I've got the problems of an adult on my head, on my shoulders. I'm an adult now.
Kids, this is just a reminder, okay? It's a trap. Don't do it. Don't grow up. Adulting is a trap, and I love this request on All Request Friday Working Songs edition from Chris. He says, the pursuit of happiness, and I'm an adult now, is a great reminder for all of us to take the time and enjoy this final long weekend of the summer, because we have a Groundhog Day reality waiting for us on Tuesday. Well done, Chris. It's true, Chris. You nailed it. You nailed it with that one. As we continue Free Phones Friday as well. Terry is on the line. Good afternoon, Terry.
Hey, good afternoon, Mike. The earlier caller that was referring to the newscaster that he thought is a newfie.
Yes.
Did you check that out?
I have not yet. Sorry, run down the hall.
I think the one he's referring to, she's on CKCO TV on the 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. I can't remember her name.
Leanne Evans, and she's a blue noser, if I'm not mistaken, from Nova Scotia.
I think, yeah, I read about that years ago. I think that she was born in Newfoundland, but she did live in Nova Scotia.
Oh, maybe it was Newfoundland. Was it New Brunswick? We got the new and the Nova and the Newfoundland all covered here. We'll have to
there you go.
Have to
all
check with Leanne.
All the East Coast is covered. Hey, Mike, I just did you get? I wasn't listening to this. I was listening, but off and on because I'm in and out. What was the answer to the question? Was it 10% trust God? That's not it, is it?
No, it was 10% of Canadians have complete trust in tarot card readings.
Oh, that, yeah. But my first thought was the government, but then I thought, that can't be. It's too obvious. And then I thought maybe it's God because there are people that believe in that. But anyway,
there are lots of people that believe in that.
Yeah, I know. And hey, I know, Paul Fixter is packing it in. What happened to the Pope? Is he gone? Like he's not coming back? I know he stepped aside to let Paul Fixter come in. Like, is he no longer around?
If he was around, I think he would have been after Fixter. We got a guy like Josh Piercy just waiting, chomping at the bit to get in. So yes.
Yeah. I'm glad for the new guy. But I was just wondering about that because I know that I can't. Is it Dave Pope? No, is it Dave? No.
It's whereabouts unknown, Terry.
Okay. No. What's his first name?
Chris
Pope. That's it. Yeah. I wasn't sure if he was still available. And one quick thing before I go, Mike. I know the NFL, they love marketing, and they got money coming out of their what. They should market this because I don't know how much longer this dude's going to play, but they should have like a little soap opera going. He brings a girlfriend from the past, and this girlfriend can smash Taylor Swift with folding chairs and stuff like WWF stuff. Now, can you imagine? Like, this would attract such huge
Terry,
audience.
do you deliberately get more ridiculous as the week goes on?
Hey, it's all about marketing, Mike. If you can get away with stuff like that, the more power to you. I've given up on the NFL. It's just become too commercialized.
Well, that's too bad. You're missing some great stuff.
I watch it here and there, but I'm not. I don't get into it like I used to. It's become so outrageous over the last 15. 20
and you want to make it more outrageous?
Well, I'm not. I don't. I'm just thinking if the NFL, they're
don't give them any ideas.
They're so marketing oriented. I thought this would be a great plot. But
all
anyway.
Right.
I'm just trying to be a goofball on Friday.
Yes, you are, Terry. I got to get some other calls now.
Have a good weekend, my friend.
You too, Terry. Thanks very much. And get back to the NFL, okay? Because I think it's pretty fantastic. And I'll even make room for you on the Pittsburgh Steelers bandwagon, baby. Plenty of room. Just don't cheer for that quarterback. Kyle, Free Phones Friday. Good afternoon.
Did Mother Nature bring this weather in because they know it's hockey season starting?
You want to know something? This is the truth. I've got this directly from the source at Environment Canada, our good buddy Kitchener Cooney. This is actually an Arctic front. Arctic in August. It's the Arctic August.
Well, so you know what? I'm not complaining about it because
you should be. It sucks. It's too cold.
I mean, it's chilly, and I'm cutting my lawn twice a week again now. But you know what? It's nice and green, right? But No, I stepped into the arena last weekend, and Mike, there's nothing that puts a smile on my face when you walk into an arena. You have a hot chocolate in one hand, and you just smell the ice surface when you walk in. And I have the biggest smile on my face. And hockey season's here, buddy. It's gonna be a great season for both of us, I think, right? Like the fans are all excited. You know, it's fun. I love it. I was happy to be back, and you're going to be back today at the Ott. For Kitchener there, and just enjoy it, man, because you blink and hockey season's already back, and I love it. So have fun, buddy. And I'm going to be at the rink in Listowel tonight, too, trying to get everything ready. We got 2 more exhibition games, and then season's already here, man. I can't believe it. So thanks a lot, Mike. Have a great long weekend. I appreciate it.
All right, Kyle, thank you. And I don't want Kyle to fool you, okay? Yes, the Rangers are back on the ice tonight for preseason action. No. I mean, I'll be around the rink, but we're not broadcasting the game because we do not broadcast preseason games, okay? So we will be on the air noon to 1 on Saturday at FanFest. That's it. No preseason action. We'll get things going with the regular season on September the 19th. But the Rangers are on the ice tonight taking on Brantford. That preseason showcase all weekend at the Memorial Auditorium. Just $5 to get in. Get your tickets at the door. It's going to be a great weekend. And I, too, am excited to be back at the rink. And this weather, it's funny. I haven't been cutting twice a week, but I was chatting with my neighbor over the fence last night. And he said, wow, I guess I'm going to have to cut the grass again. Yes, we are going to have to cut the grass again. And if you're anything like me, you put the heat on and the seat heater in the car this morning. It was so ding-dang cold. Free Phones Friday continues on the Mike Farwell Show. Stay with us, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Walk your street and I walk mine. And should we meet, would you spare me some time? 'Cause you should see my world and meet my kind before you judge our minds.
Little bit of blue collar, BTO, by request from Greg on this All Request Friday Working Songs edition as we head into a long Labor Day weekend, hence the Working Songs theme. Let's get back to Free Phones Friday with Grant. Good afternoon, Grant.
Good afternoon there, Mr. Mike.
Oh, real quick, you made me think of this, Grant. Sorry, but my colleague told me in the hallway during that commercial break that I may have misspoke before the break and said I would be on the air Saturday from FanFest. Of course, FanFest is Sunday. Don't go to the parking lot on Saturday. Go on Sunday, please. Sunday, noon to 1, FanFest will be on the air. Sorry, Grant.
That's okay, not a big deal. And I can't wait to see the snake plate tonight.
The snake?
Bo.
Who?
From the Blue Jays.
Who's the snake?
Bo Bichette, right?
Bo Bichette? His nickname is the Snake?
Because part of his name is Bo, so you think of Bo Constrictor?
Bo, okay, sure. Let's go with that. I must have missed that one, Grant.
And I can't wait to see Mr. Bieber. Oh, he's doing good, and so did Mr.
I didn't know you liked Justin Bieber's music, Grant.
No, not him, but the pitcher.
Oh, Shane Bieber.
Yeah. And not Mr. Hoffman that basically didn't pitch a good game the other night, but he said, I'm going to give you a piece of my own medicine.
That he did. I love what manager John Schneider did. A night after Hoffman blew a save, he brings him right back out there to save a game. And that's the life of a closer in baseball. I know it hasn't been a great season, but I think that was a great managerial move. You still got confidence in your guy. You rebuilt that confidence for him right away. And clearly, Grant is among the many of us who are very excited about the way the Blue Jays are playing. Big weekend series with the Brew Crew, Milwaukee, the best team in baseball. Free Phones Friday to Greg. Good afternoon, Greg.
Hey, this is Greg, 38, not the one that did the blue collar, just FYI.
All right, Farwell's Force official member number 38, Greg. Good day.
But actually, if I would have had time to request and BTO four-wheel drive, that's exactly what I'm driving right now, would have made perfect sense. But anyway, side note there. So, quick question. Regarding this, like the whole Lindsay, Ontario kind of thing, when they're using the word, okay, change of whatever, your home, are they using that literally or just more like in general? Because, like, say
if you catch somebody breaking into your car?
Well, or just say I come out of a shopping mall or whatever, and for some reason, maybe I just bought a new baseball bat or something like this, and say 4 guys surround me saying, give me all your goods, or people get their cell phones robbed, and I decide to start swatting them with the bat, like there. They started it.
No.
I have to be home to get hammered by somebody before I can retaliate?
Well, listen, I mean, Greg, you do you, pal, and we'll let the law sort it out. How's that?
Well, that's what I'm just saying, because it keeps saying invade your home. Well, define home. Like, that's what I'm wondering. Is it literally or just anything in the way that needs self-defense?
It is literally your home.
Okay, well, I think it should be expanded, but then...
All right, well, that's fair. You can talk about wanting it to be expanded. I got you.
Oh, it should be. Anything you got to do when you're in trouble, that's not at your own doing. But, okay, well, I was just curious, how they were treating that, so... Anyways, and then again, back to this, celebrity, Kelsey, and stuff. Okay, if you don't want to follow it, you can turn off a channel. I like following NFL football. I don't need to see every basic play that he makes. The camera, like watching her, do backflips after it. If I was an NHL or NFL executive, I would say, okay, cameraman, quit putting the thing on her and quit forcing this stuff on football fans. And,
why would football fans want to see a pretty girl during a game? That would be an awful thing to do, eh?
Well, I'm just saying it's gotten ridiculous. Like, do they show Patrick Mahomes' wife after every pass? Josh Allen's, Haley Steinfeld, all like, no. Like, it's just, like, forget it. Stick to the sport and just find, things to view related to it.
All right.
Not every game, like, he caught another pass. He's picking his nose on the sideline right now. Let's show her because... I would say, quit shoving that on sports fans that don't.
Well, but Greg, you just said it a moment ago. You can always just change the channel then.
But I'm saying I'm watching football. I don't have to watch entertainment.
But watch a different football game then.
Well, okay.
Okay. You see how we just solved problems today, Greg. Look, I thought it might have been a little bit of overexposure of Taylor too. It's like, are we watching a football game or are we watching the evolution of Kelsey and Swift's relationship here? But honestly, it's not enough to get worked up about. Free Phones Friday continues on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. I should make that the theme song to this show. Don't bug me while I'm working. No, wait a minute. It wouldn't be much of a show if you didn't. M from Guelph, Farwell's Force member number 73, wanted to hear that on this All Request Friday, Working Songs edition. Don't Bug Me When I'm Working by Little Village. And M suggests you probably have more than 2 listeners in Guelph. We were talking about that earlier this week. M is actually one of 4, if I'm not mistaken. Marino, number 66 on our official membership list of Farwell's Force from Guelph. Shannon at number 141 and Brian at number 150. I think those are our Guelphites who have stood up and been accounted for on Farwell's Force. A force for good, a force for change, a force to be reckoned with. We love our Farwell Force, now up to 156 members and counting. We're going to paint this town red, we are. Back to free phones. Ron, good afternoon.
Hey, Farwell, how you doing?
Good.
I got a little bit of beef. Everybody's talking about hockey, but we're forgetting we got some meaningful baseball going on right now.
We sure do.
I mean, come on. I understand you guys. I understand the hockey fans. I'm not as much of a hockey fan. Sorry. But, right now the Jays are hot. and we got like one hell of a series coming up tonight. This could give us an idea of what we're looking at for the World Series.
It very well could. I'm with you. Listen, and we're a hockey mad community. We're a hockey mad nation. We're hockey first people. But you're right. Big baseball weekend too.
Yeah. So I'm already heading off to the game. I'm looking forward to it. And also shout out to Jen, your girl that does the screening. Amazing girl. Love when I call in. She seems to know my name and just puts a smile to my face whenever I have to call into the show and I'm feeling a little blue and I hear her voice. It cheers me up.
All right. Well, glad to hear it. And I'm sure Jen, who is our board operator answering the phones today, is happy to hear that too. Mary, you're going to get the last word, but I don't have a lot of time for you.
Oh, I know. Mary come lately. I tried to get in, but listen. I think you should ask for a raise because you bring in a lot of people, and you tell your boss, now you got another person to support. Or will have.
Mary, I'm a kept man. You know that. She supports me.
Okay, well, that's just an aside. I think you started I forget the word now, I was waiting, like your callers in that, it's getting out of hand.
What do you mean it's getting out of hand?
Well, now they want calling in and they want a different number, and the next thing you know, they'll be offering money, and the gaming committee, you created a monster, and the gaming committee will come after you, Mr. Big Time.
Mr. Big Time, I like it. There is no stopping Farwell's force. It's as simple as that. But we will stop it for today. We'll come back on Tuesday, and you know what? The show, starting Tuesday morning at 9, is going to sound a little bit different. I think you're going to really like what you hear. So please do join me right at 9 o'clock on Tuesday morning, and we'll have some fun experiencing that new sound together. My name is Mike Farwell. You are a force for good. Enjoy the long weekend.